Hey you guys, and welcome back. I thought I'd just make a video. I haven't been able to get anything up in a few days because I kind of run into some roadblocks on a few things here, and I just wanted to kind of share them with you guys. A couple of things I was working on, and one is we got a video coming up. This is probably the best deal I've ever gotten on one of these. I mean, this thing's really cool. So even if you're not into it, it'd be a good idea to check that out and just look at the price when it comes up. And these guys sent it out to me, and I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to use it as my show one because it folds and it's very, very compact. It's really cool for VW buses, and it's super, super cheap. Amazing. So anyway, I'll put a link in this video as well for the so you guys if you guys were looking at e-bikes, wish you could get one, couldn't afford it. That thing's coming up. So I do those things because they give them to me, and how can I say no? I mean, that's a really cool thing to get. So, and some of the things I do for tools, because I need the tools that they are offering. A couple things that I've had some problems with, like my pressure washer, I left it on. One of the things you never do with the pressure washer is leave the switch turned on. It'll just, as soon as it loses water pressure, it just wipes out the seals and it's done. So it doesn't matter where you buy it. So that happened to me. I mean, all this stuff, you guys, it's constant all the time. So anyway, the blue button, the only thing I can think of to do on this thing, I drove it some more. I was starting to make another video on it. I don't know if I'm gonna complete the video because I noticed that it was losing. It's been losing oil, and and it's not leaking anywhere, so it's burning oil, and so it went down. I think it went down like a whole quart or a half a quart in just a few hundred miles. So I'm going to condemn it. It's just got to come out and be taken apart. I don't know if I'm just going to take it apart and run through it real quick, put new bearings and rings in it. I'm not certain what happened when we put it together. I know it was a lot of used parts, just stuff we had laying around, and it was just kind of like one day Chris showed up. He goes, "Hey, let's just put this together." And I go, "Okay." So we did it, and that was just, and put it in this car, and really like the power that it put out. But again, I don't know what we did internally. I know that the case isn't that great. It's on the last, it's like on the last line bore. It had some cracks that weren't causing issues, but eventually it's not going to be a long-term engine. So anyway, so I'm working on right now cleaning parts, which that's really exciting stuff to see, right? But that's just what's been going on. Cleaning parts. I think I'm going to first put together this 40 horse. Really, that car, that's what came in it. So I think the 40 horse with a big bore kit, and that's what was in it before. That's what I think I'm going to put back in it. It was a 40 horse with a big bore kit, but we're going to go with a Engel, I don't know what it is. Webb, oh no, not Webb. It's a Scat C20, I believe. And that should help a lot because it has more duration than the stock cam. And that's the biggest issue. Like I tell you guys all the time on cams, the duration is just way too short on the stock cam. So the other thing I was going to do is I was going to drive in video on this. I'm still waiting for my license plate. I don't want to drive it without license plates, even though, it is registered. There's reasons why. I expected to have those in my hands, but they change their policies. They send them out in the mail. So I would be getting those within the next week. So I was going to do like a freeway drive in it and stuff like that, and have you guys come along for that. I was planned actually to do this week, and that didn't work out. So anyway, kind of getting skunked whichever direction I go, but that's just the way it is sometimes. And so the good news is today we have precipitation. And if you guys didn't know, we have the fires. And I had a couple of videos out on that. People go, oh, yeah, they put out the political videos and all this stuff. It's not really. Just, you know, this is kind of a little bit of an odd year. This has happened, I'm going to say, 30 years ago. We've had similar situations, but we didn't have fires with it. So we had a dry winter. I'm trying to think of when that was, 25 years ago or so, 30 years ago. We had a dry winter, and there was high winds everywhere, like there was when the fires happened. And I don't know what caused the fires yet. That's still under investigation, I suppose. And there's a lot of conspiracy. I don't follow that stuff, guys. But so who knows exactly what caused it. But you know, the last time we had high winds like that, and it was super dry, and we had a late rain like this year, we didn't have fires because they're just whatever. There's other reasons why. Okay, so it's just kind of an odd thing. It was really, and it sucks because 10,000 homes are gone, and it's unbelievable. It's hard to believe. That's like probably a whole city of people that lost their homes. So there's, you know, it's just tragic. A friend of mine was over there, and I haven't found out the results. He was over there. He went over there in lieu of going to Buses by the Bridge, and I haven't had a chance to catch up with him, find out what's going on. If you guys want to know more about that, he was going out there in the double cab, and I don't know what the results were. So anyway, let me know in the comments somewhere on that, and we'll see what we can do on that. So again, I'm going to recap on Buses by the Bridge. You guys haven't watched the video. In my opinion, that's kind of the way I'm going to do more of these event videos, is more of you guys coming along with me, the adventure of it, and going to the show, showing the show, and then, you know, bringing you guys along for the trip. That's kind of what I would like to do. It is much more difficult to do than just film the show, but it's still, in comparison to rebuilding a whole car, it is much easier. So that's what I think I want to do, as well as, of course, we're still going to do car builds. We're debating on a couple more things here, and again, this is your time to put in that input. So I'm going to do some of these type of videos between things, and so that you guys can kind of make your comments and tell me what you want to think. Like, what do you guys really want to see on this? It's going to cost me a lot of money to do, but you know, I do have most of the parts. I have to buy their rubber. So what I was thinking about doing, because a 68 does not have a very high resale sale value. I mean, this sucker's straight. Look at this body line here to the hood. I don't think it's ever been hit in the front. I mean, look at that. But I don't have any of the vent system, so I was thinking, you know, just cut this out and just, you know, I don't know. That thing's kind of useless anyway. I don't have any of the dash pieces for it. I don't have any of the vent system, and swap meeting, all that stuff, you know, it's just like, to me, it's just kind of an expensive route. And maybe I could just clean up the dash, fill in some of the holes, and do like a more of a, you know, cowbug style with this one. That would save me a lot of money as far as the rubber goes. Okay, I could buy the cheaper rubber. I do have the glass for it. Just have to go pick it up. And I have the hump for this, I think, somewhere. I'm pretty sure. If I don't, I might have another one in the parts pile out there. So eventually we're going to get to this here, and I think it's going to be within the next few months. The body's like super straight. This thing I could blow out pretty quickly, But again, my focus right now is to get rid of some stuff, and it takes time. It takes time. Putting the stuff on the market for sale is difficult to do. It robs time. I get emails, calls, and things like that. Follow-ups. So one of the reasons a lot of people go, well, why don't you just sell them as they are? Why don't you just sell stuff the way it is right now? Just get rid of it. It's, first of all, you get nothing for stuff like that. And then I get a lot of time robbed from people, calling and going, hey, whoa, it's got this. Okay, ooh, that's a big deal, and it's not really. But it just takes up my time doing that. So I'd rather put my time into getting something decent, get it right to where it's buyable to me, and then sell it. Okay, so yeah, that takes a little more time to do, and I have some other personal repairs to do. Like I've got to do my timing belt still on my Jetta. I do have some work coming up for my regular work. Not the best stuff either. It's like the stuff I'm getting is with my regular work is, again, you guys that don't know, I do sign industry related painting. So there's a lot of different types of materials used in signs. So some of it's just the water-based paint for walls. Some of it's for the cabinets for signs. This one here happens to be cabinets for signs, and it's metallic paints that I got to do in the field. It's in downtown LA. It's just, the worst ideal situation. People walking everywhere. You're trying to spray paint metallic paints, and what they do is a lot of times they'll have the installer try and do it, and that's what they did on this thing. And the paints on the signs, they used a roller, and they have a rolling additive you can add to metallic paint, and it can come out pretty good if you use the hardener. These guys don't use the hardener. So now the material that's on there, you try and sand it, okay, and it just gums up on the sandpaper. If you ever tried to sand paint with hardener in it, and with no hardener in it, you can't sand it. So what you have to do, and I have videos on this, and this has helped a lot of people. For automotive paint's the same, because it's basically an automotive material. You just put paint with a little extra hardener over it, and then it actually hardens the paint underneath. But then now you got to do it twice, right? So I got to paint over what's there, sand it or whatever a little bit to try and smooth it out a little bit, so I don't have too much gummy work to do. I could take a rag and wipe it all off. That's horrible. It takes hours and hours and hours of time. Okay, or I can go over it with some paint that has hardener in it and try to harden the paint that's underneath. It does work. So I've got that to go to this week, so that's going to rob a lot of time. So I won't be able to film a lot of things going on here. Plus, that's kind of what I've been doing the last few months. And on top of that, you see things like, in January, my view counts are up this month, and my revenue's down because it's January and all the advertising's gone. It all left December. So it's just every year to go through this whole thing. January sucks, So yeah, and I still got to get rid of this thing. I got to do a little bit of work to it, clean it up. The hardest part with this, you move it, it's got to go to a state where they can be driven. I mean, it's got a rebuilt 7.3. I've got to go and find the parts stuff. I have all the parts that I put on. I mean, I put brand new, like Luke flywheel and clutch on here, brand new, and I've probably put like 1,000 miles on this truck in California. People, why are you political? Well, right there, you guys, that truck, that pisses me off. They didn't send me a notice 5 years in advance. Oh, we're gonna tell you can't drive your truck anymore. You have to research all this crap and know what's going on. I can't know everything. They just inundate businesses with stuff like this. So it's personal. It's not just political, it's personal. I never had a word of politics ever while Arnold was governor. Never. Didn't need to. There wasn't anything happening that would change my life. But this thing cost me, I just put $10,000 into the motor in this thing. I bet I probably won't even get $10,000 for the whole truck. I don't know. I was looking, a lot of guys want those old 7.3s because they're better. A 7.3 stick shift and 4-wheel drive with a cruise control. A lot of guys want that back east and there's no rust on it, because the other crap you can get, the 6.7 has high pressure fuel issues. The 6.0, God, you need to bulletproof that engine, and those are it's really expensive to do that. And the other option was the 6.4, which is, I think all those are gone. I'd be surprised if any of them are still on the road. Those things just, everything was bad on that engine. Everything. There wasn't one thing they had. And the others, there's very few Dodges or Chevys. So anyway, I don't know. I planned on just using that truck till retirement. And then I got a notice in the mail. It says, oh yeah, you need to submit your mileage. And you can't only drive it 1,000 miles a year. So anyway. Yeah, well, it was my oversight. Well, I can't read all this stuff going on. It's just like, I can't keep up with it. It's just too much. So anyway, the Buses by the Bridge show. God, what a blast. It's so good to be around so many good people, okay? Particularly, I don't like to be around a lot of people, okay? I prefer... today, more often, I just don't like the people around, a lot of places now. I don't like their idealism and all that, but in Buses by the Bridge, all the Volkswagen people are awesome. They're the best, they're, generous and happy, sharing stuff, hanging out, talking about the cars they've had or things they've done. Things that are bothering them that pretty much are the same as bothering me, and just sharing life. I found the VW people to be energizing, where a lot of the other people of the state of California are draining, in my opinion. So anyway, loved being around VW people. That's where I like to be all the time. Now, some people have said, well, Mike, why don't you just move from California? And I'm just kind of answering some of these things. And listen, the reason I live here is, my house is on a really low property tax base. If I moved anywhere, I'd be starting over, and the prices aren't that much less. Let's say I would be about $300,000 ahead if I moved to another state. And so it would cost me, and it would probably cost me a ton of money to move. I don't know. I don't even know what it costs to move. I figure about $30,000 probably to move somewhere. I don't know how it would be any cheaper than that. If I wanted to move my vehicles and everything else, or if I just wanted to fire sale them, that's just, no, that'd be stupid. Okay. So if I move somewhere else, my property taxes are going to be higher. I'm only going to have about $300,000 in my pocket. $300,000 goes nowhere. I'll tell you right now, $300,000 goes nowhere. I know that for a fact. I know exactly how far $300,000 goes, and it would not last me very long at all. So, and I'd have to live on what I make on YouTube, and that's a scary thought. I still do get some work from my other stuff. I'm not sure if it even makes a profit yet, because my expenses, it almost just kind of washes out right now, but I don't think it's going to be like this forever. I think it's just going to be like this for a while. But then again, I weigh out things like, okay, my age. Let's say if it takes 2 more years, I'll be 62. Am I still going to be able to physically do the type of work that I do? Am I still, is my health going to hang in there? Those are all things that I don't know. And if I move somewhere too, you know, if I have a health issue and I can't work for ever or whatever, that's not enough money. 300 grand is not enough money to retire. It's not, especially if your property taxes go up. So if my property taxes are extremely low compared to being somewhere else where they have, here we had this Proposition 13, and your property taxes can only go up like 2% a year. Where if I'm somewhere else, as if other people migrate there too, which is happening, you guys in Tennessee, you all know about this, okay? Then what happens is the property taxes go up, and I'm kind of stuck there with no money. Probably not a very good idea to move. That's the way I've looked at it. Kind of weighed it out. No, there's no way. You know, there's some places I would like to go. You know, if you guys were, I really like some of the Arizona mountains. Some people don't know they exist. There's mountains in Arizona, and but you know, up there, the trees are sparse. They're not that close together, so there's less issues with forest fire than in California, because our trees are too. If you talk to guys that live up in the mountains, they'll tell you right now. They go, "Oh, what was the deal with the bark beetle? It's all about trees per square feet. It wasn't about climate change. It was about trees per square feet." You know, talk to people up there. When you go up to the mountains, visit with people. You learn from them. And you look at pictures on the wall. Hey, you know, this was so-and-so, and you see how sparse the trees were. Well, they're not like that now because they won't let them cut them down. So it's just, and people go, "Oh, well, that's political." No, it's laws that are made that are not beneficial to the people. Regardless of who made them, I don't know who made them. It doesn't really matter. And blaming on saying it's all climate change is, you know, let's just be honest about it. If it is, then it is. But if it isn't, there's a good possibility that it isn't because of those trees per square feet. Oh, it's because everything's a degree warmer. It's like, I don't think it had anything to do with the bark beetle eating up the trees. The trees are weak because there's not enough water for all the trees per square foot. And if you got rid of half the trees, then the trees would be healthy and they could use sap to kill the bark beetle. That's what they do. You know, they got enough water, they're fine. All you got to do is just ask a mountain man, guy who lives up there, tell you all about it. Anyway, there's crazy stuff going on everywhere, but Arizona's good, but like I said, the cost to replace something similar to my house over there, and I couldn't even get as big a lot, would be like, I'd probably have 300 grand in my pocket. And 300 grand goes nowhere. It's not enough money to retire on, not even. I seen a video out, and a lady says, "Hey, I could retire on 500,000. I'm like, "Go back to work." Go back to work at 50. I got $500,000. I'm going to retire. You're not going to retire. What you're going to do is you're going to go about 10 years, and you're going to be like, "Oh shoot, I'm not going to make it." And then you're going to go try and find another job at 60, and they're going to go, "No, I wouldn't want to hire you." You know, so people say, you know, I should go get a job. You know, and at my age, you know, there's not a lot of, there's slim pickings. You know, yeah, I work at Home Depot, make $20 an hour. Minimum wage is $16.50. You know, I don't know about you guys. I've talked to several people, but most people are saying you got to make about $6 grand a month to live. And that's including, okay, that's paying for your health. For me, that's paying for my business insurance, my workers' comp, my contractor's license, the contractor's bond, all that stuff's gone way up in price. They've gotten ridiculous on that. A bond's just skyrocketed because people are taking bond money and leaving the country. Yeah, that's been happening. Not here that I'm aware. I don't know, probably here too, but all over they've been doing that. So, you know, anyway. Well, it's not necessarily bond money. What they do is they get, like a general contractor will get, like, what's it called, payment. He'll get a conditional lien release from a job site from a different contractors. Like he was supposed to pay his drywall guy, and he'll take his money and he'll have like 10 different jobs going, and they'll take the drywall guy's money and he'll take the roofer's money, and he'll get them to do conditional lien releases so he can get the money from the bank, and then all of a sudden he's gone. Another country, I don't know where, I'm not saying any specific country, I don't know where they go, but this has been happening. There's videos on it, you guys can watch them. And so us honest contractors are paying for it, because the bond company is the one that, the bonds pay it out, and then, then all of a sudden the bond rates go up, and a lot of bond companies have just stopped doing business. So that's all been exciting stuff. So with all those expenses and health insurance, which is, I got it on the cheapest deal I can get, and it's, with health insurance and food, you guys know how expensive that is. And I don't go out to eat anymore. We used to go out all the time. No more of that. My wife and I used to go out just a few, about the time that, like, trying to think, right before the pandemic. And we would go out and have like a Thai lunch special, and it was like $16 for two of us. The same thing now in 5 years is like 35 or 40 bucks. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, but I really think that California's inflation is much higher than everywhere else. But then again, I just don't know. I haven't been anywhere. I used to go from here to Florida, come back, all the time. Every year I was in Florida, North, South Carolina, Georgia, and now I don't do that at all. That's gone, and I'm never going to do that again. That program is gone. It had to be something different, and I don't see anything like that happening. So I used to know how much food was there out to eat, and how much it was always 30% probably more here. So I imagine groceries, it all affects by gas prices. So, and people don't know that when they put that gas tax together, and it was like 12 cents a gallon, and now it's like 20, and they keep on raising it because there was a little thing in little thing in that bill that said that they could raise that gas tax, and nobody read it. I did. Nobody else read it. Not a lot of people in California, and they just thought, oh, this is fine. It's going to fix the roads. The roads look exactly the same as they did before the bill. Go figure. And so our gas tax is way higher, and what they did on top of that is they put a 20 cents plus 5% on diesel. What does that do to stuff on the shelves? Everything comes on trucks. Anytime you tax diesel more, that's going to pay, everybody's going to pay for that. Everybody. It doesn't just, the trucking companies don't soak it up. It goes to the people. So I think our inflation's higher here. Okay. You guys can comment that below what you think. So again, guys, these are some of the frustrations I'm dealing with, and maybe you guys can share your thoughts on it, and share your frustrations. Maybe you have the same thing. Maybe it's bothering you just as much as it is me. Like I said, I was apolitical. I didn't care. And when Arnold was governor, nothing bad was happening. Nobody was throwing the wrecking ball around. But since after him, I saw the crap going down, and I was like, oh my God, this is just going the wrong direction. And people just didn't see it. Nobody else saw it. I don't know, maybe they're just younger and they hadn't lived long enough to see the old things that used to be around, and they just didn't really notice it. But it sure has affected me directly. So anyway, now since we've got rain, it might be rain next weekend, which is Octo. So that's going to make it tough for me to drive the old bucket truck. So here she sits outside in the rain. Yeah, we get a little rinse off. I was going to put it inside the other shop. But yeah, I won't drive this if it's raining to Octo. I'll probably drive, I don't know. I'll probably take something else. You know, I have buses that have better wipers than that. And that thing, just driving it in the rain, is dangerous as hell, you know. It doesn't stop very good, you know, and there's always car wrecks in the rain and all that. So it's just not ideal to drive that in the rain to Octo. So yeah, that's coming up. So I don't know what's going to happen there. And I'm glad that we have rain. I'm glad that it came late. Like we usually get rain between Christmas and New Year's, or just before Christmas, a week before Christmas, or maybe a week within the next week of New Year's. One of those. Usually we get rain in that time, and we didn't this year. So it was just a fluke thing. I don't think it's any specific thing. I think it's just, like I said, that has happened before in my lifetime. I've seen it before, but I can't tell you exactly what year it was, and we did not have fires at the same time. So that's the big difference. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on. I figured I'd just make a little video on what's happening. Maybe you guys just haven't seen anything in a week and you're kind of going, wow, what's going on? But I figure I'll do something like this, and maybe we'll talk about different things a couple of times a month, and let me know, share your thoughts on that. And it's a time for you to kind of comment about the cars that you like, about the 68, what we should do. I'm not going to make a Baja Bug. I could do a, what's it called, Class 11. That might be neat. And then I could put the 1600 that's in the other car refreshed and put that in there, or I got the 1835 that I'm going to put together, and I got all the parts for that. So I only need to buy minimal stuff for the 40 horse. I have basically everything. I have a good crankshaft. I have a good, decent set of rods that were low miles. They're just like a little bit of surface rust on them because it got wet inside the case. So I cleaned them all up, and then I just, I think it's a standard crank, 40 horse crank. So I'm like, I'll use that, and then so I'll run through that, and I'll put a bigger oil pump. I'll put a 26 in it, and we're going to make another video here on that too. I want to talk about oil pumps and oil, what kind of oil to use. There's a lot of different guys with different information out there. So anyway, this will kind of help you. All right, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.